Right now at 6, the verdict is in. Former Badgers football player Quintez Cephas is found not guilty on both counts of sexual assault.
And a van crashes into the Wisconsin River. How deputies say it got there. Straight ahead.
Plus, a community rallies to help a Verona College student severely injured during a rock climbing trip in Colorado.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 6.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We do know the fate of former Badger football player Quintez Cephas.
It took the jury just 45 minutes to return a verdict on 2 counts of sexual assault.
We, the jury, find the defendant Quintez Cephas not guilty of third-degree sexual assault as charged in the first count of the information. We, the jury, find the defendant Quintez Cephas not guilty of second-degree sexual assault of an intoxicated victim as charged in the second count of the information.
Now, Cephas was facing upwards of 40 years in prison if he was convicted on both of those charges.
Jamie Perez joins us with the latest, including reaction from Cephas and his family following the jury's verdict. Jamie?
Well, as you mentioned, the jury didn't even take an hour to deliberate and reach that not guilty verdict. Now, once that announcement was made, Cephas and his family and friends and everyone who was here supporting him were rejoicing and hugging in the hallways. Here's just a bit of that moment. Cephas said this has been a very long and emotional week for him and his family. Cephas got emotional several times this week as he was listening to testimonies and closing arguments. We caught up with him and his attorneys right after the verdict was reached today to talk to them about what this means.
During my closing argument, for 12 months, I've thought about this case, and I kept asking myself, what if there wasn't a video? What if these videos didn't exist? Would he be standing here now? And I think we all have to ask ourselves that question.
Cephas said in his own testimony today that the jury could see he was telling the truth from the videos that were taken from that night by surveillance cameras on top of all the other evidence that was presented by the defense. We asked him what's next, and he said he's just going to live his life the best he can and move forward.
I'm happy. I've had a lot of people here supporting me and my family. And I've learned a lot through this situation. And I know it sounds crazy, but I think you grow through what you go through. And I've been able to grow a lot.
The family and Cephas cleared out of the courtroom soon after they all shared hugs and tears with Cephas in the halls. Now, the prosecutors here in their closing arguments said they believe the victims did the right thing when it comes to reporting a sexual assault, but ultimately the jury did not vote in their favor.
Jamie Perez live at the Dane County Courthouse tonight. Jamie, thank you.
Madison police have arrested a Lyft driver accused of sexually assaulting a passenger. 24-year-old Jeremy Foley was arrested this morning for second-degree sexual assault of a person under the influence. A woman told officers that on a ride back to her home, Foley stopped short of her address, locked the doors, and told her to perform a sex act on him. Police say she notified them after she was dropped off. 2 young children are dead tonight in the crash just outside of Whitewater that happened last night. The Walworth County Sheriff's Department says those 2 victims were 7 and 14 years old. The crash happened around 7:30 at the intersection of Highway 12 and County Road N. They say a truck pulling a camper turned into the path of a semi. Both kids were passengers in that truck. 3 others are in the hospital, including a second 7-year-old child. Authorities haven't said how badly they are hurt.
A minivan has been pulled from the Wisconsin River this morning. Deputies with the Sauk County Sheriff's Department say it veered off of Highway 12 and crashed into the water near Spring Green around 6:30 this morning. Only that one vehicle was involved, and the driver is now facing a citation.
It looks like it just veered off of the highway. The driver was charged with inattentive driving, which basically means she was somewhat occupied or maybe fell asleep. Something distracted her from the road.
The woman inside the minivan was not hurt.
Let's get a look at the weather now. Meteorologist Chris Reese is in with your first alert forecast. Man, the Chief's still out playing, isn't he?
I was like, you all miss Gary, don't you? All right.
A little bit.
We've had plenty of sunshine this week, and that sunshine does continue as we go through today. We have noticed, though, at least a little bit more in the way of some cloud cover trying to sneak its way in. Here's visible cloud track. Look off towards northern Wisconsin. You see how those higher clouds try to work their way into the picture. There's no showers or thunderstorms here, but those clouds are associated with showers and thunderstorms throughout the northern part of the state and the UP of Michigan. And while that won't be impacting us tonight, it is possible that what's responsible for the showers and thunderstorms up north could impact us as we go through the weekend. In the meantime, it is 82 degrees. Those winds are staying out of the north and east at 5 miles per hour, folks. We're going to watch our temperatures fall through the 70s tonight and then eventually into the lower 60s. But we'll be timing out when we could see some weekend rain chances coming up.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. We do love that you're here. A Verona native is still in a Colorado hospital tonight after a serious rock climbing accident.
She fell 60 feet. She survived, but has extensive injuries. Gabriella Becerra shares more about the accident and how Ella is doing. Gabriella?
Ella Hall was on a rock climbing trip with some friends. She was almost to the top when she came across a bad rock and her gear failed, causing her to fall. She has a long road to recovery ahead of her, but her family is calling her survival a miracle.
Just finished her sophomore year in CU, Boulder, Colorado, and she was spending her first summer out there.
A parent's worst nightmare. That's how Tim Hall recalls finding out about his daughter's accident.
When she came down, she landed feet first, thankfully, but more on her right side, so her right heel was shattered. Both ankles were broken. Right femur was snapped. Multiple pelvis fractures. Jaw, mandible broken, missing teeth. Both lungs collapsed.
Ella's boyfriend, Will, is an EMT and was able to begin treating her while others called for help.
Very good chance that had Will not done what he did, she wouldn't be here right now.
Will messaged her parents through Instagram, the only method of contact, asking for them to call him right away.
We called him and he's like, Ella had an accident and she's being flown to Grand Junction.
And while she's recovering in Colorado, she has a support system back home rooting for her recovery.
Cheryl sent me a message one day and just said, Ella loves hearing your texts and she smiles when I read them to her.
Ella's aunt started a GoFundMe page to minimize financial stress. Ella's insurance won't cover rehabilitation expenses.
It's overwhelming in a good way. I mean, it's just the outpouring of well-wishing and support has been amazing.
Hall said rock climbing is something that makes her happy and expects her to return to the outdoors.
Just fell in love with the mountains and that's where she wants to be.
The next step for Ella is to simply heal and regain function. Ella's parents say she plans to return to school and study abroad. As of this afternoon, the GoFundMe page raised over $14,000, but their goal is $50,000. We have a link to that page on channel3000.com.
What an amazing story.
Incredible.
Thankfully,
right.
she recovered.
Thank you very much.
A group lobbying for the new F-35s to be brought to Madison says the recently released impact statement will help the community alleviate potential impacts of increased noise. According to that statement released yesterday, the F-35s will be significantly louder than the current F-16 jets housed at Truax Field. The noise is expected to affect an additional 1,300 acres of land, which includes more than 2,000 more people. Today, the Badger Air Council said in part, quote, as these potential impacts are identified, work can begin between the fighter wing, our federal, state, and local government partners, and the community in addressing and mitigating those impacts. The group is encouraging anyone with concerns to attend a public meeting on September 12th at the Alliant Energy Center.
3 of 6 people killed in a car crash today in Minnesota are from Wisconsin. The crash happened around 1:30 this morning near the city of Iota. That's in the southeastern part of the state. First responders say one vehicle going the wrong way on Interstate 90 hit another. 3 victims in one of those cars are all from Waukesha. They range in age from 11 to 54. Authorities haven't said which car was going the wrong way. Still ahead tonight, the Better Business Bureau is sending out a warning about puppy scams.
Plus, as a new proposal looks to add vaping to Wisconsin's smoke-free laws, we ask state health experts about the growing number of serious lung disease cases linked to that habit. Stay with us.
Just today, state health officials announced they are looking into 11 cases of teens and young adults with a serious lung disease.
Now, that's in addition to 7 cases already under investigation, all of them linked to vaping. Adam Duxter joins us now in the studio with what medical professionals are saying about this tonight. Adam?
Well, Danica and Charlotte, the experts that I talked to today say they've never seen something like this before. But tonight, they're investigating how vaping could be responsible for sending almost a dozen people to the hospital across southeast Wisconsin. According to the DHS, the issue they're seeing is in patients' lungs. But right now, it's unclear of any commonalities these cases might share. While vape enthusiasts in Madison say you can't make this an issue for all vape devices, the experts say they're still trying to figure this all out.
I have not seen anything like this before. Even literature reviews have been maybe single cases that may have been associated with someone who had vaped. But again, nothing to this extent. We're breaking new ground, unfortunately, in a bad way.
Now, Hout says he's worried this issue could continue to spread. And again, he says they're not sure what could be causing this at this time. And in the meantime, he says there's no vape that's a safe vape.
The Better Business Bureau is reporting an increase in puppy scams online.
Several consumers have reported similar experiences of finding an adorable pet for sale and paying up front for it, expecting the animal to be shipped to them. Well, instead, the scammer pockets the money and never sends a puppy. The BBB says people usually lose about $1,000 before they realize it's a scam, but there are some ways to double check if it is a fraud.
Search for that picture online to see if that picture of that puppy has been used in any other websites, or if there have been other testimonials used on other websites, because that too is a red flag that you could be dealing with a scammer.
Red flags include fake websites with grammatical errors or, like any scam, being forced to wire money up front. If a pet is really for sale, each animal should come with proper paperwork and medical records. Experts also recommend visiting the pet in person before deciding to buy or adopt.
It is day 2 of the CrossFit Games at the Alliant Energy Center. The competition is being whittled down pretty significantly. At the end of competition today, there will only be 11 teams remaining and 20 athletes who are competing as individuals. The competition wraps up on Sunday when the fittest man and woman in the world will be crowned. The games are expected to generate more than $7 million in direct spending for the city.
Ahead in sports, Brewers and Cubs back at it today with some afternoon baseball, and the all-city swim meet kicks off in Madison. A look at some of the action straight ahead.
But first, another beautiful day in southern Wisconsin. Whether you're swimming or playing ball, meteorologist Chris Reese will have the full weekend forecast coming up.
Meteorologist Chris Reese joins us now with a look at our forecast and another gorgeous day.
Yeah, and it was a warmer day too. We saw those highs make it all the way into the low 80s for a lot of spots. Some folks didn't make it into the middle 80s, which is a good reminder that it is, after all, still August. Mineral Point, out of control. Again, they made it all the way to 88 degrees. A lot of other folks were a lot cooler than that. 84 in Lone Rock, Madison, we topped out at 83. As you work your way closer towards the lakeshore, we were a little bit cooler with those temperatures topping out right around 80 towards 81 with the drier air coming in. In the meantime, we're at 82 right now. Those winds at the airport, at least out of the north and east at 5 miles per hour. The humidity, the dew points are still on the lower side of the spectrum, which means it still certainly feels good. 80 in Watertown and Juneau, 70s as you work your way towards the lakeshore. This is where those winds are coming off the lake, keeping things a little bit drier at least. Mineral Point still at 86 degrees right now. But then you ask yourself, well, where's the humidity? And it's starting to move back in. It's not here in Madison just yet, but as you work your way just towards the Dells and then north of that, this is where it begins to become a little bit more humid. Those dew points are back into the mid 60s, and there's some 70-degree dew points trying to show up throughout parts of the area. They are all throughout the upper Midwest, and sometimes you see these little dark blue circles. That's where the dew point is trying to get close to 70. So in some spots, yes, it is very humid, but we're going to enjoy one more afternoon without that humidity around here. I do think that'll increase as we go into tomorrow. Any showers and thunderstorms, those do remain confined towards the north woods as of now. But this boundary that is causing these showers and thunderstorms, I do think is gradually going to be allowed to sink towards the south and east due time. This is as high pressure that is keeping us dry begins to move away from us. As that does so, we get in on more of a southerly wind flow, and folks, that southerly wind flow does allow for more moisture to get pumped into the region. You add a weak disturbance to tap into that moisture, and that's why we do have those chances for some showers and thunderstorms coming into the picture this afternoon. I do think it's a little bit overdone on Future Track, but that chance will certainly be there, and we'll watch another chance for some showers and thunderstorms as we go into Monday. This time, an actual cold front begins to work its way into the region. And I do think that Monday into Tuesday rain chance is likely going to be the better of the rain chances. But let's focus on the weekend first, folks. Temperatures will continue to cool down. We'll bottom out, right around 62 later on tonight. Then into tomorrow, we'll warm up quickly. Lunchtime, temperatures already at 80. Will likely top out around 84 to 85, depending on where you are. But notice the showers and thunderstorms that begin to develop towards the east. This is all associated with a little bit of a lake breeze, but they're going to try to work their way back towards the south and west. As they do so, the question is how much this actually holds together. This is where I genuinely believe the model is a bit overcooked on the rain chances, but nonetheless, I cannot rule out the rain chances for tomorrow. We'll dry out tomorrow night into Sunday, and then on Sunday itself, we'll see a very quick warm up with those temperatures approaching the 80s and a little bit more sunshine. Better rain chances do arrive perhaps as we go towards the end of the upcoming week. This is all a matter of what happens towards the jet stream. If they're not over us, they will certainly be very close. The forecast certainly will continue to use a little bit of tweaking. In the meantime, we do have slight rain chances going through the weekend and early on next week. More slight rain chances do exist as we approach next weekend, but given the uncertainty, we decided to keep the forecast dry for now. But we are watching next weekend for perhaps a little bit of forecast tweaking. Temperature-wise, though, things will be very comfortable.
Ryan Braun hit another homer at Wrigley Field, but was it enough for the Brewers to beat the Cubs? Stories coming up in sports. There are still 50 games left in baseball's regular season, but there's no denying this weekend's Brewers-Cubs series at Wrigley Field has to be called a big one. Ryan Braun hits better at Wrigley than anywhere else on the planet, so no surprise he hit another homer at Wrigley today. That's his 19th homer of his career at the friendly confines. Tied the game at 1 in the second. Braun went 2 for 3 today. But Brewers starter Zach Davies had another rough outing, and Javier Baez was the guy that made it rough. Baez went 3 for 4, 3 RBI, his 26th homer of the season. Final score, Cubs 6, Brewers 2. A lot has been made about baseball teams putting up extra netting around the field to protect fans from foul balls. Well, an added benefit, it also protects the players. Watch this. Mets' Jeff McNeil made this catch at Guaranteed Rate Field in Chicago. If that net isn't there, he probably doesn't go at it full speed, or he probably ran into some fans, but he made the catch and kind of had fun jumping into the net, too. For the last 19 years, the Packers have kicked off training camp with a practice called Family Night at Lambeau Field. That practice begins tonight at 7:30 at Lambeau. We've been watching the dynamic between Aaron Rodgers and head coach Matt LaFleur through OTAs and minicamp and now training camp. And so far, the early reviews are all pretty good. We'll see what happens when the real thing starts in September. But for now, Rodgers seems pretty pleased with the progress of the relationship and the education of the new offense.
Training camp is always, it's tough physically on just about everybody but the kickers and the quarterbacks. The mental part is also a grind when it's a new system, and I think our guys are picking it up pretty good. I think the confidence is very important in the offense with a new scheme. And that's the key for this offense is we need our important guys we really count on to have confidence in the scheme. And my confidence is growing the scheme. Jimmy's confidence is growing the scheme. Devontae.
Badger football moves its practice to the grass field in the north of Camp Randall today. After 2 practices, Paul Chryst says they haven't really had to throw a lot of new stuff at the players. They're just reinforcing what they had learned so far.
The more you know, the more there is to know. So I think that it's a good, for a lot of guys, it is a review, but they're probably learning another layer to it. So there's a few things that we didn't do in the spring, but the bulk of it is, the veterans, guys who have been here before, have gone over quite a bit, and even you guys was last first year guys. It's the majority of it's a review.
And the madness that is the All-City Swim Meet begins at Westside Swim Club today. Over the next 3 days, there will be over 2,000 swimmers competing in over 4,000 events. The All-City Swim Meet began in 1962 with 5 city clubs. Now there are 13 swim clubs competing. It's one of the largest outdoor amateur meets in the country. Ridgewood has won 21 of the last 24 All-City Swim Meets, but Middleton won the team title last year. Kudos to all the parents that drive around, find a parking spot. They get there, they wait for half an hour, 45 minutes, and then 28 seconds they're racing.
And didn't they shift the schedule this year to kind of make sure parking wasn't as big a deal?
It's tucked in there at O'Dana Road and right by Whitney Way. It's tough, and that was a great idea. It's a one-year thing, but makes sense.
Certainly does.
Yep.
Okay, nice weather for swimming.
Yeah, I was going to say pool weather as we go through the weekend. 62 degrees overnight tonight, but we're going to keep even some sunshine around for most of Saturday. Yes, there's a rain chance there, but most folks are going to spend most of the day dry with a slight rain chance in the afternoon. So hit the pool Saturday, maybe Sunday, maybe even Monday, and then we do begin to gradually cool things down as we go throughout the week ahead. We'll actually be slightly below average on temperature.
Everyone into the pool?
Sure.
Sound good?
Why not? If you can find one. We'll keep you in the shower, MJ.
We'll see you at 10.